run out of things to talk about.
It gets pretty awkward.
Yeah.
It gets weird.
I would say we start trading recipes. We start trading recipes, but I have none
to share.
No, I have none to share. Last night was the first and only debate between the two vice presidential candidates, right, Fred?
Yeah, and I think there was usually the vice presidential debates are kind of downplayed as in its importance.
They don't put them against Monday Night Football, put it that way.
No, for a reason.
Yeah.
But I think this one gained some importance because there was a lot of controversy coming out of the presidential candidate debate between Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump because of the fact-checking issue, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it had a larger than usual audience last night. The morning after assessment, even from other networks, this debate was sponsored by CBS. The morning after assessment is that J.D. Vance did very well, and that Governor Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's running mate, not so much. Whether it moves the needle on the polls, we don't know. We'll wait and see for 3 or 4 days and see what happens. But it was interesting. Now, you mentioned about as far as fact checking, there was an agreement between Vance's people, Walz's people, and CBS that there would be no fact checking, as we saw in the presidential debate. However, there was a moment when the two CBS anchors, at least one of them, kind of broke that rule. Want to play?
I just forgot. Okay, I'm just kidding.
Okay,
I'm just kidding.
Okay, CBS fan.
That's right.
By the way, let me just say this for so folks will know.
Yes.
Wesley, was that what was that?
That's an alarm to be on the program when I'm hearing stuff.
Okay, I just didn't want Israel having the wrong target. That's the only thing I was worried about. And that alarm goes off, and you're a little worried.
You think I should take off my pager?
Speaking about that alarm, it's only there to annoy my brother whose office is beside mine. I could choose any other alarm.
Oh, but that
volume.
panic alarm?
Yeah, but the panic alarm Walker can't stand, and so that's the reason
I don't like
there.
it either. It makes me think the world's over. So that's what people heard in the background right there for just a moment. I wanted to say this, that Wesley and Fred watched the whole debate.
Yes.
Ed and I have only watched clips.
Right.
Is that right?
That's correct.
So just wanted to make sure everybody knew that.
I had a prearranged event to go to last night and could not get out of it.
And when Italians have a prearranged event and location,
we show up.
It includes
to go
food.
to.
Yeah, an event, quote unquote.
And it wasn't a hockey game.
Right.
It was not a hockey game, although my team did play last night. I didn't watch it.
Right.
Because I had a event to go.
But it was preseason.
It was just preseason.
All right, so go ahead, Fred.
Anyway, with regards to the promise not to fact check, about halfway through the debate, I guess it was, that promise kind of got broken by one of the CBS moderators. So I want you to hear a little bit of this. Cut number one.
And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
we're
because
going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that you guys were going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we want to have
One app has not been on the books since 1990.
It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen,
That's where they cut his mic. You were asking before.
Yes.
They cut his mic because he only was responding because they fact checked.
Yeah. And I think to put it all into context, they were talking about the 20% of the 20,000 Haitians that have moved into an Ohio town. There's been a
Springfield.
lot of talk about that. And what she was trying to argue was they're not illegal immigrants. They are legal immigrants. What he is pointing out is, and he used the term, I think, thanks to Kamala Harris's magic wand.
Right.
Because what has happened under the Biden administration, there's a little app that these folks approaching our southern border can put on their phones.
These desperate people with cell phones who can download an app.
Yes, yeah. And they can press that app, and up pops a little form that they can fill out saying, I'm being persecuted in my country of origin. I'm seeking asylum. They waltz up to the border. They show this to the Border Patrol. Bang, you're in.
Without the hearing
Yes.
that would determine whether or not asylum is a legitimate claim
Yes.
for those people coming into the country.
So that's
We'll figure that out later, Ed.
So that's
Yes.
that's what J.D. Vance is pointing out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And trying to explain.
Yes.
Because it technically is a legal status for these 20,000 Haitian immigrants, but it's only technically legal because the Biden administration, Biden-Harris, are letting them flood in.
Yes.
And they're saying, okay, you're not technically illegal, we'll stamp it, but
Right.
they're flooding across the border
I think
and
really
eating cats.
I think that's right. I think what really hurt the moderators there is not people that were following the content and trying to hear both sides and trying to follow the debate side of things. They really sided quickly with J.D. Vance here because whatever side you're on, because he pointed out that we discussed the rules before. You're not supposed to fact check, and so I think when he exposed that, and then they went further, because that's the reason they were about to move on. They were done with that, but because she fact checked him, that's the reason he felt obligated to respond to that. And then of course cutting the mic at the end made things look a little worse.
And I'll say this. This is what I don't like about fact checking. Okay. First of all, it's not the job of the moderators.
Correct.
If Tim Walz wants to quote unquote fact check his vice presidential opponent,
Sure.
that's for him to do.
Yeah.
But second of all, it is usually just a matter of opinion that these moderators are fact checking. And this is what I mean. So let me just bring a little college football in because that always clarifies things. Okay. Ole Miss plays Kentucky. If I say I think Ole Miss played a great game and they probably shouldn't have lost, and then Tim says, well, I don't think they played a great game because in the fourth quarter, X, Y, and Z happened. That's a difference of opinion. And that's what these moderators do.
Mm-hmm.
They quote unquote fact check the Republicans
Yeah.
on a matter of opinion,
Yes.
claiming it's a fact that they
Yeah.
got wrong.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did there. Another thing they did throughout the debate, and we got some more clips we can get to, is it was so obvious that every time J.D. Vance would finish, they would turn to Waltz and say, "How would you like to? Would you like a minute to respond to his allegations?" But anytime it was the other way around, it was would you like to respond?
Yeah. That's
So
the
yeah, go ahead.
term allegations. It's like Vance
May or may not be true.
Right.
May or may not be true.
Yes.
Governor Walz, would you like to clarify?
So are you guys saying, having watched the debate, and I know both you guys are conservatives, so
Sure.
you have that particular bias to consider, but would you say, trying to be as objective as possible, that the two moderators were clearly liberal?
Yeah, there are a couple of left-wingers.
Yeah.
Can you be more clear on your view of that? There are a couple of, are they?
They were right away a number of certainly Fox last night in the assessment, but I watched the whole thing. They were liberals. So now, here's my evidence to that, all right? I do have some backing of it. Yeah, they agreed not to fact check, but I would say 95% of the questions were framed by the moderators as an attack against Donald Trump.
Listen, I think for 2028, assuming our country is still here, okay, I think whoever the conservatives are, Republicans, they ought to say, whoever the presidential nominee is, I'll do 2 debates, one on Fox News, and then one on one of your leftist networks, because I know I'll only get a fair shake on one network, and if that's not good enough for you, then there'll be no debates. Yeah, I think they ought to do that, because this is now the second time we had one, I thought, fair debate. That was the CNN debate, and of course CNN got shellacked by the leftists, saying, you should have fact-checked Trump. Okay, and then now we've had an ABC and a CBS debate that were not conducted fairly.
But what I'm hearing, even with that said, that you guys who watched the whole debate said J.D. Vance, the senator from Ohio, Trump's pick for BSP, did very, very well.
His composure was phenomenal.
Yes.
His ability to be able to stay focused on the numbers or the facts, and also be able to articulate them in a way that was simple and easy to understand. He was
much like I do each day on the show. Right? I mean,
exactly.
I'm not trying to steal the spotlight. I'm just
sure. We all recognize it.
We all know when we hear politicians, we all kind of expect or bake in or anticipate the sensationalizing of everything. This side's the devil, this side's the devil. Right. J.D. Vance didn't pull that. He didn't pull that all night, and I thought he did a really good job. Now, do we have the clip with his response on the deportation question? Chris Woodward pulled that one. Do we have a number for that?
I think it's better.
Yes, we do.
Okay,
we do have that.
What are we about to hear?
This is Vance when asked about mass deportations. You know that former President Trump on the campaign trail has said if he's reelected as president, he plans a mass deportation of people who have entered the country illegally. It'll be huge.
Nothing like it's seen in history.
All right. So I wasn't surprised. That was one of the questions coming from these liberal moderators with regards challenging Vance on what Trump has said about.
And I think it's a fair question for the moderators to ask if they asked it fairly.
Yes. Cut number 7.
What do we do with them? I think the first thing that we do is we start with the criminal migrants. About 1 million of those people have committed some form of crime in addition to crossing the border illegally. I think you start with deportations on those folks. And then I think you make it harder for illegal aliens to undercut the wages of American workers. A lot of people will go home if they can't work for less than minimum wage in our own country. And by the way, that'll be really good for our workers who just want to earn a fair wage for doing a good day's work. And the final point, Margaret, is you ask about family separation. Right now in this country, Margaret, we have 320,000 children that the Department of Homeland Security has effectively lost. Some of them have been sex trafficked. Some of them hopefully are at homes with their families. Some of them have been used as drug trafficking mules. The real family separation policy in this country is unfortunately Kamala Harris's wide open southern border. And I'd ask my fellow Americans to remember when she came into office, she said she was going to do this. Real leadership would be saying, you know what? I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies. I wish that she would do that. It would be good for all of us.
That's an excellent answer. Now, I've read some of these exchanges, the transcripts or the media coverage in articles. Hearing him say that, it's clear that, like you said, Wesley,
it's on his voice composure.
He's composed, and he was prepared. He was prepared for the question and the counterpunching.
Yeah.
I mean, because he not only, I think, characterized the Trump position as something that's doable, but then he threw the ball back into Kamala Harris's court, put her on the spot.
I like the plain speak when he says, look, if she would just say, look, we tried it didn't work, we're going to go back and do it the way it was originally, we'd be okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hey, listen, don't forget, we talked about this a week or so ago, and we can't, this is radio, so we can't show you, but there was a video made of Kamala Harris back, I don't know, not 2018 or maybe it was leading up to the 2020 Democratic. Remember when they were all running?
The primary.
Primary.
Yeah.
And there's a video of her at some rally where they're chanting. They're chanting education, no deportation.
That's right.
Now, I've got it. That isn't exactly how it went, but in essence, that's what they were saying. They wanted something to rhyme. That's how these lefties do. They're good at picking something to rhyme to make their point. I give them credit on that.
Sure.
So as I said, education, no deportation. And she was seen doing a little jig. Okay. It was
Like a dance?
a little dance, like honeybees do. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever seen a honeybee?
No.
Yeah, I have.
have not.
The little figure eight thing?
Yeah, they do. She was doing a little figure eight and
Yeah.
raising her hand. She was chanting like she was at a pep rally.
Yeah.
And what she was chanting, what she was saying with her words and her actions were, I'm against deportation at all.
Yes.
Let them all come in. I don't give a rip because it's immoral to stop people from around the world who want to come to America. That's why I'm just telling you what her actions and words have said. She's against a wall. She's against anything at all. This is the path that Biden and Harris chose.
Yeah.
They said we're going to reverse everything Donald Trump's done
The point
to
JD
control the border.
JD Vance pointed out it was over 95 executive orders.
We had that?
It had to do with the protection of the southern border.
Yeah. So listen, I know people vote on presidential elections, multi reasons. Okay, people have economy, crime, whatever the border. I'm just telling you, I think it's absolutely fair to say this. If you want an attempt to control our borders so that we know who's coming into our country and we still have a legal process, then Trump Vance is the people who are the two people who represent law and order on the border. If you want people just to continue to flood in here from around the world, you don't care, and that's your right if you don't care, and the impact that millions and millions and millions of people here illegally are going to have on our way of life, especially in the coming months and years, then you need to vote for Harris and Walz, because they have been those are the positions that these two parties hold. Go ahead, Wes.
And just to back up, the main reason I wanted to pull that clip, and the one thing I wanted to emphasize is what he said that should be bipartisan, that should be across the board, and that's that he said, let's start with, you want to talk about
what we can agree on,
what we can
Democrats
agree on.
and Republicans?
Yeah, he said, let's start with the 1 million illegal immigrants that have a criminal record. Let's just start there. Now, we know there's
right.
25 million in the last whatever decade that's here illegally, but what he's saying,
can we agree on this?
We take the 1 million that have a criminal record and send them back.
Well,
you
to be
know,
honest with you, I don't know, I'm getting too technical here. I don't know if I want them sent back.
Okay.
Those people. I understand what he's saying
Sure,
here.
sure.
I think if you commit a felony,
No, but he's saying okay, I think I know where you're going with this, but he's saying that they've got a criminal record, but that doesn't mean.
I agree. I know what he's saying. I don't think the Democrats care whether you have a record or not. Sending somebody back to some country is.
I know you and I've discussed
yeah.
they need to be prosecuted here in the States. I agree with that
Yeah.
if they committed a crime in the States.
Yeah.
But after they've been prosecuted
Yeah.
and they've been let go,
Yeah.
he's saying send those back.
I got the way to do it.
Yeah.
I can solve this problem, okay, in 24 hours. I'm just kidding.
Change the definition of what an illegal
No.
immigrant.
Listen, first, and President Trump, I don't know what kind of plans he's got, but first of all, I don't think the American people want to see federal agents breaking into houses and hauling, people
Well,
from
Trump said that
Ecuador.
the other day. He walked his position back.
Yeah,
in that.
the people aren't going to stand for that. It looks horrible. Okay, so you've got to make people go back voluntarily, and here's how you do it. Okay, first of all, you shut down. You can absolutely control the border, so that what I'm about to say doesn't incentivize other people to scramble up here and come in. And then you say, in 6 months, we're going to give you 6 months, and if you don't have an E-Verify number, no one's going to hire you. If anyone hires you and we find out about it, we'll fine the employer. we're going to give you a check for $1,000 or whatever to cover your expenses going back home. And in 6 months, you do not have access to welfare or our hospitals. We're giving you 6 months.
Okay.
You go back. I don't care if it's $2,000.
Are you-
It's still cheaper than funding. And then you tell them you have to go back and then reapply. And we'll decide.
Now
at the
that's
border.
some comprehensive immigration reform I can get behind.
Yeah, it's